Now, we're going to get into something, right? Because now y'all know you're Israelites. Y'all know you're from the tribe of Judah, right? The impact is phenomenal on knowing that. The impact matters because he just mentioned, hey, I had to wake up and do things early, right? You just said, I follow my father's footsteps. So what is the purpose of the image of the Israelite man? Hosea 3 and 4.
The book of Hosea, chapter 3 and verse 4. For the children of Israel.
Now you understand you're a child of Israel, right? The children of Israel, go ahead.
Shall abide many days without a king and without a prince and without a sacrifice and without an image.
Without an image. Many days we had no image. We had nothing to look at and say, this is how a man should act and deal with things. This is how a man should handle himself. You understand? There's many days that our men, these young men that you see out here, they don't have an image. Right. They have nothing to look at and say, this is how I should handle myself. This is how I should be. So you understand you're an Israelite. God gives you certain laws and commandments that you should follow so that you can be an image to the community on how to be. The community is not going to get anywhere without the Israelite man. We gotta take the women and children up out of here. That's our responsibility, right? Is that a man's responsibility? Is that a man's responsibility? So many days we had no image, right? Before I get into the how it affects things, give me 1 Corinthians, right? We're going to start here, right? 1 Corinthians 11, I could kill two birds with one stone. 1 Corinthians 11, we're going to start at verse 3. Now, Rick, we're going to see. You've been listening, right? So we're going to see, right? Because the commandments of God are easy to follow. I'm going to give you one. Quick one. Go ahead. Verse 3.
1 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 3. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ.
So God is now dictating the order in a family, right? In the Israelite home. Now the head of God is who? No, hold on, read it again, let me see. Make sure I'm not jumping ahead. The head of every man is who? The head of every man is who? Okay, now read it again.
But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ.
The head of every man is Christ. So now we got an order starting, right? You got Christ and then you got the man underneath him, right? Christ is who we should be looking at to determine which way we move. Go ahead.
And the head of the woman is the man.
The head of the woman is who? Okay, now we got woman, man, Christ. Okay, go ahead.
And the head of Christ is God.
The head of Christ is who? Okay, so now what's the order? God, Christ, man. Okay, that's the order, right? As blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we didn't have any order. Now you're finding out you're an Israelite, there's order. There's a way that decisions should be made. When Christ made a decision, he went to God. When we make decisions, we should go to God through Christ. You with me? All right, keep reading.
Every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonoreth his head.
Read that again from the top.
Every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonoreth his head.
Now the Bible says, Rick, every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonoreth his head. Who's the man's head? Okay, so Christ, so now we're reading out the Bible, right? It says if you're a man and you're praying or prophesying, right? We're going to get what prophesying is, so you clear, okay? Read that.
The book of Revelation, chapter 19 and verse 10. And I fell at his feet to worship him. And he said unto me, see thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Jesus. Worship God, for the testimony of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy.
So the spirit of prophecy will be coming from where? The Bible. So what does it say? What does it say? Go back to 1 Corinthians. The spirit of prophecy is the Bible, right? So anytime a man is praying or prophesying, right? Praying or prophesying. Read it again from the top.
1 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 3.
Verse 4.
Verse 4. Every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonoreth his head.
If you pray or prophesy, you're listening to the Bible, you're praying, and the Bible's being read right around you, and you have your head covered, you dishonor who? I'm asking, who would you be dishonoring if your head is covered? Who's your head? Okay, so now we're reading the Bible to you, right? So it's a simple commandment. You have your head covered right now. What should you do? That's it. Now let's see. You want to take your hat off? That's a simple thing, right? All praise. Get the brother. Now you got to keep it off because we're going to read the Bible. We're going to read the Bible. We're going to read the Bible. In order for you to listen to the Bible, you got to have your hat off. I'm asking, you going to take it off and keep it off? All right, I got you. I just want to show you one thing real quick, right? You got to keep it off for me. The reason I'm showing you this, right, is because, again, give me 1 John 5 and 3. These are simple things. It's not a hard thing. Remember, we went into slavery because we didn't do what? Keep God's commandments, right? Okay, so this is a simple thing that we got to do. Simple thing. Taking your hat off, that's a simple thing. 1 John 5 and 3.
1 John chapter 5 and verse 3. For this is the love of God.
This is what love really is, right? This is what God is telling you. This is what love is. Read.
That we keep his commandments. And his commandments are not grievous.
None of the commandments of God are hard, Rick. That wasn't difficult for you to take your hat off when the Bible was coming out. Because, again, when we go into a building, right, we go into church, and church teaches lies all day, and what do? Why you take your hat off there? You know, see what I'm saying? This is the problem, right? I'm going to show you something. Go to Revelation. We don't know that God looked like this, Rick. We don't understand that. So we'll pay reverence and respect to this, but we won't pay reverence and respect to this. And that's what I just asked you to do. Pay reverence and respect to God who looked like you. You understand? We're going to read out the Bible. Watch. Revelation 1 and 13. Go ahead.
The book of Revelation, chapter 1 and verse 13. And in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, and girt about the paps with a golden girdle.
So this is talking about a man. He had a garment on, right? It says he had a garment and he had a girdle, right? Go ahead.
Verse 14. His head and his hairs were white like wool.
That his head and his hairs were white like wool, right? So he had white hair and it was woolly in texture, just like your hair. Just like this brother's hair, just like my hair, right? He had woolly hair. Go ahead.
As white as snow.
Go ahead.
And his eyes were as a flame of fire. And his feet like unto fine brass.
His feet were like unto fine brass. Now, do your feet match the rest of your body? You ain't got white feet under there? It's a little lighter, but it matches the rest of your body, right? That's the point I'm making. So Christ had feet like brass. What color is brass? Brown. Okay, go ahead.
As if they burned in a furnace.
Now, if you take brass and you burn it, what color does it become? It's going to become a darker shade of brown, right? It's going to become, it's not even, I won't say burgundy, but polished brass, if you ever seen it, is a real dark shade of brown, right? So the point John was making here, that Christ is a dark-skinned man. That's what he was making reference to. So when you take your hat off and we tell you the Bible is the spirit of prophecy, the spirit of testimony of Christ, you paying reverence and respect to a black man who looks like you. That's why you're doing that. And that's a simple thing for you to do. That's not a difficult thing for you to do. But a lot of time what we do is we say, you know what, damn, ain't nobody ever asked me to take my hat off when the Bible came out. I just take it off in church because I thought it was church. But no, it's a commandment of God. I'm going to give you a few more before you go, all right? Give me a beard. Simple things, right? Because I told you the Israelite man didn't have an image, right? They didn't have an image. So one of the images you could show the young man is respect. You get me? Respect. Now here's another thing. Leviticus 21 and 5.
This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 21, and verse 5. They shall not make baldness upon their head.
So we weren't to bald our head. You ever seen Michael Jordan? Shaq? What they got in common? They got bald heads, right? So God said we were not to make baldness upon our head. Go ahead.
Neither shall they shave off the corner of their beard.
Now he said something else. Said we were not supposed to shave off the corners of our beard. What does that mean? Okay, now look at my face and compare it to your face. What's the difference? You shaved off the corners of your beard. All of this is supposed to grow in. I can see your natural line. God said you were supposed to have a beard on your face. For example, you look at the animal kingdom, right? If the lion shaved its mane, what would it look like? Nah, think about it. All right, you seen Lion King, right? Okay, what was the difference between Simba and Nala? Okay. No, in the beginning, he didn't grow his mane. You're right. In the beginning, when he was a baby, he didn't have his mane. When he became king, which we're trying to teach you how to be, he had his mane. And you could identify the difference between a man and what? A woman. Now, if you don't got your beard on your face, what are you turning yourself into? That's what you got. I ain't going to say it, but I want you to think about that. If you grow a beard and you say, I'm going to shave it off to look younger or to look handsome, whatever your thought process is, God is growing that on your face for a reason. Imagine if lions just started shaving off their manes. They would look like lionesses. So God gave you something, again, to give you an image.
That's right.
That's what you're supposed to have. You're supposed to have a different image than a woman. A woman's supposed to see you and say, damn, there goes a man with a beard on his face.
Good.
He's not a woman. I could tell it, because there's a lot of dudes who might be small, right? And they kind of built a certain way and then they shave their beard off. You're looking at them for a little while trying to figure out what's what. You understand? Why is that? That confusion wouldn't be there if every man had a beard on their face. It would be clear. You'd be like, oh, that's a brother right there. I can see his beard. His beard is hanging. So God gives us simple things that we got to do. Right? Titus 2. Understand why this is important. Understand why this is. Actually, give me First Corinthians 14 and give me verse 33.
This is the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 14, and verse 33. For God is not the author of confusion.
God was never about confusion. We invented that. The confused state our people are in, where they don't know which way to go, they don't know who the man is, they don't know what order is. You got that commandment too. You know, in terms of dealing with your children, you're supposed to show them what a man is. You're supposed to lead them. Right? We taught you that. God, Christ, man, woman. You understood that too. So God was never about confusion. He was never about the woman doing one thing and the man doing another thing and us not following God. There was always order with God. We invented confusion. Right? Give me verse 40. So remember that, right? Because this is important to identify image. You say you got 2 sons and a daughter? Your sons and your daughter need to see what it's like to be around the Israelite man. They need to understand this before they get your age and they got to go through what you went through. You get what I'm saying? Verse 40.
1 Corinthians chapter 14 and verse 40. Let all things be done decently and in order.
So everything that you do got to be done decently and in order. And remember, if you're not applying the commandments of God, we're going to stay in the state we're in.
We used to scream black power while Heron was pushed. But at the end of the day, nothing's in vain. IUIC has been given a vision. The tents of Judah has risen. Many has attempted the mission, minor murmuring, omitting, and missing the mark. Just reading that he had the flame of fire in his eyes gave us the spark. We on Paul's mission. We out on the road, purple and gold, from Mexico, Cuba, Haiti, Ghana, Sierra Leone. 144,000 boots banging, concrete crackling. These are our men repented at heart. The scriptures is proof. IUIC, we deliver the truth.